Kunle, what are you doing here? I thought you were dead. How come you're alive and in prison?
You won't understand. I was tired of you and everything. Marrying you was a big mistake.
How was I a mistake?
How can a lady be in the same house with me and I get so much peace? That alone was enough.
He didn't just walk out on her. He made her wash his corpse with her tears for 1 full year, only for God to show her his prison uniform. And when she asked him why, his answer made her laugh so hard the guards came running. Or, how I buried a ghost and found a fool in chains, the burden of loving a broken man in the sprawling, dusty city of Ibadan, where the heat rises from the asphalt and shimmering waves and the sound of oil. Make We Hustle is the anthem of the struggling masses. There lived a woman named Amara Obi. Amara was not a millionaire by any stretch of the Nigerian imagination. She didn't have oil wells or a fleet of Danfo buses. But what Amara had, she understood. She owned a modest but thriving boutique in Bodija Market. She sold premium lace and George wrappers to the wives of politicians and the girlfriends of pastors. She had a small flat in a decent area, a 2010 Toyota Corolla that never embarrassed her, and a heart that was too big for her ribcage. Then she met Chidi. Chidi Okonkwo was handsome in the way that tragedy is handsome. He had the face of a man who had seen better days and blamed the universe for their departure. He was tall, with gentle eyes that looked perpetually confused, and a smile that appeared only when he needed something. He was, by all accounts, jobless, not the aggressive, I will hawk pure water or die kind of jobless, but the polite, I am waiting for a divine appointment from God kind of jobless. He lived in a single room in his mother's house, where the ceiling fan had not worked since the administration of Goodluck Jonathan. Amara's friends warned her. "Amara, this man has no roof on his head," said her best friend, Aber, over a plate of sharp pepper soup. "He is looking for a mother, not a wife." But Amara was 32, and the pressure from her own mother had become a form of psychological warfare. Every phone call ended with, "My daughter, the eggs in your basket are getting stale." Even the hen that lays golden eggs knows when to stop laying. So when Chidi proposed, kneeling on the dusty floor of her shop while a confused apprentice held a ring that was clearly borrowed, Amara said yes. She paid for the introduction. She paid for the bride price. She paid for the engagement party where Chidi's uncles drank 3 crates of Star Lager and commented loudly that Amara is a little too independent for a woman. She paid for the wedding, a small church affair, because she wanted a big one. But Chidi said, "God is not a photographer, Amara. Why waste money?" She paid for the Aso Ebi, the Jeel, the cow that was slaughtered, and even the money they gave the pastor. And that was just the first month. The hell of everyday marriage. Marriage to Chidi was like swimming with a corpse tied to your ankle. You move forward, but the weight drags you down, and the smell never goes away. He did not work. He did not try to work. When Amara suggested he learn a trade, Chidi would sigh deeply, look out the window, and say, "My destiny is not in plumbing. I am a thinker. I am a strategist." While Amara woke up at 4:30 a.m. to go to the market, Chidi slept until noon. When she returned home, exhausted, counting the day's profits, he would be sitting on the couch, watching African Magic, with a list of things he needed. "Amara, my phone is bad. The screen is cracked." "Amara, my friend Dutch is buying a car. I need a car." "Amara, my mother's birthday is coming. You need to send her 150,000 naira. She's your mother now too." And Amara, because she was raised to be a good wife, a patient wife, a suffering wife, would comply. She bought him an iPhone. She rented a car for him to look for work. She sent his mother money so frequently that the old woman started calling Amara my firstborn son. But the worst part was not the laziness. The worst part was the quiet hatred. Chidi did not like Amara. He tolerated her, the way one tolerates a leaky roof because you have no money to fix it. He never kissed her with passion. He never held her hand in public. When they walked into a room, he walked 3 steps ahead of her, as if ashamed to be associated with her. If she spoke about her day, he would yawn. If she cried, he would turn his back. If she dressed up for him, he would say, "You're trying too hard. Who are you trying to impress?" The loneliness in that marriage was a physical substance. It filled the rooms. At night, lying next to him, Amara would listen to his breathing and feel like a ghost haunting her own home. She tried everything. She cooked his favorite meals, bitter leaf soup with stockfish. She bought him a PlayStation to keep him busy. She even offered to start a business for him, fully funded. He refused. "I don't want your charity." He would sneer. "You think because you have a little boutique, you are Mrs. Rich. Please, my father was a chief. I am a prince." But the prince had no kingdom, and the queen was tired. After 2 years, the cracks became chasms. Amara began to notice that Chidi was spending more and more time on his phone smiling. Not the fake smile he gave her, a genuine, eager smile. When she asked who he was chatting with, he would snap. Can a man not have privacy? One evening, after a particularly brutal day at the market where she had been cheated by her supplier, Amara came home to find Chidi packing a small bag. "What is this?" she asked, her heart sinking. "I am traveling," he said without looking at her. "I have a business opportunity in Lagos. A big one. Oil and gas." Amara almost laughed. Chidi? Oil and gas? The man who couldn't even gas up his own generator. "How much do you need?" she asked, because she knew the script. 500,000, he said. "It's a partnership. I will double it in 2 weeks." She gave it to him. She didn't even argue anymore. Arguing with Chidi was like arguing with the Lagos pothole. It was there. It was annoying, and it wasn't going to change. He left that night. He did not kiss her goodbye. He did not say, "Thank you, my wife." He simply picked up his bag, looked at her with an expression that she would later recognize as relief, and walked out the door. The death that wasn't 3 days later. Amara's phone rang. It was a strange number. A male voice, cold and professional, speaking in a measured tone. "Is this Mrs. Amara Okonkwo?" "Yes. I am sorry to inform you that your husband, Mr. Chidi Okonkwo, was involved in a fatal motor accident on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. He has passed away." The world did not spin. It stopped, and then it cracked. Amara dropped the phone. She did not scream. She did not cry. She sat on the floor of her living room, staring at the chair where Chidi always sat, and she felt something strange. A combination of grief and guilt. Did I not pray for this? She thought, horrified at herself. Did I not, in my darkest moments, wish to be free? She asked to see the body. The man on the phone said it was impossible. The accident was severe. There was a fire. The body is not viewable. We have already buried him according to protocol. Buried? Just like that? No body? No mortuary? No police report? But grief is a fog, and Amara was walking through it blind. She did not think to question. She did not think to investigate. She simply believed. She called Chidi's mother. The old woman wailed so loudly that the neighbors in her village thought a transformer had exploded. Amara organized a memorial service. She spent another 1,000,000 naira on a casket full of nothing, on a reception where people ate jollof rice and drank malt and whispered about how that poor woman finally has peace. She wore black for 3 months. She stopped going to the market. Her business began to suffer. Her apprentices started stealing. She didn't care. Every morning, she would go to Chidi's empty side of the bed and touch the cold sheet, whispering, "Why did you leave me? We could have fixed it." The irony was thick enough to slice. She had spent 2 years hating his presence, and now she was drowning in his absence. That is the cruel trick of toxic love. It makes you miss the poison after the antidote arrives. She mourned him for almost a year. 340 days of tears, of sleepless nights, of listening to worship songs and begging God to tell her why he took Chidi. She lost weight. She lost contracts. She almost lost her mind. Her friends tried to console her. Ever the pragmatist said, "Amara, I beg, the man treated you like a slave. Why are you crying? But Amara would just shake her head. You don't understand, Eber. He was my husband. The ghost in the prison, it was on the 341st day that the miracle or the curse arrived. Amara was in her shop, trying to reorganize the remaining lace. Business had picked up slightly, but she still wore a small black ribbon on her wrist. In walked a woman named Ifi. Ifi was a friend from university, someone Amara hadn't seen in years. Ifi was now a lawyer, sharp-tongued and eagle-eyed. She walked in, looked at Amara's black outfit, and frowned. Wait, oh, Ifi said, dropping her designer bag. You're still mourning that man. Ifi, please? He is dead. Have respect. Ifi sat down, her face unreadable. Then she pulled out her phone, scrolled for a moment, and turned the screen toward Amara. Is this him? Amara looked. Her heart stopped for the second time in a year. It was a photograph. A prison visiting room. Gray walls, wire mesh, and sitting on a plastic chair, wearing a bright yellow prison vest, looking thinner but very much alive, was Chidi. He was smiling. Actually smiling. Like a man who had just won a lottery. That can't be, Amara stammered. It is, Ifi said flatly. That picture was taken last week. Kirikiri Maximum Prison, Lagos. He was arrested for advance fee fraud. 419. He and his oil and gas partners conned a businessman from Port Harcourt of 17 million naira. They've been in there for 10 months. 10 months. Which meant he had been arrested barely a month after he died. Amara's hands trembled. Her vision blurred. She grabbed the phone, zoomed in on the face. It was him. The same gentle eyes, now looking shifty. The same smile, now looking guilty. You're lying, she whispered. Go and see for yourself, Ifi said. Visiting day is Saturday. Amara did not sleep that night. She sat on her bed, surrounded by the darkness, and she laughed. Then she cried. Then she laughed again. The neighbors probably thought she had finally snapped. And maybe she had. The reunion in Thls Saturday came like a thief. Amara drove from Ibadan to Lagos in 3 hours, a journey that usually took 4. She didn't feel the steering wheel. She didn't hear the music. She only heard the sound of her own heartbeat, a war drum pounding in her ears. Kirikiri Prison is not a place for the faint-hearted. The walls are high, rusted, and topped with broken glass. The air smells of sweat, hopelessness, and institutional decay. When Amara walked through the gates, she felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. The visiting room was a long, narrow hall divided by a metal grill. On one side sat the visitors. On the other side sat the inmates. The conversations were conducted through small openings, like confessions in a Catholic church. Amara sat down on the cold metal stool. She waited. Then she saw him. Chidi walked in, flanked by 2 prison guards. He was wearing the yellow vest over a faded t-shirt. His hair was unkempt. His face was gaunt. But his eyes, those deceptive, gentle eyes, widened when he saw her. He stopped walking. For a moment, he looked like he might turn around and run back to his cell. But the guards nudged him forward. He sat down opposite her. There was a long silence. Then Amara spoke. Her voice was calm. Too calm. The calm of a woman who has been to the bottom of the ocean and found nothing there. Hello, Chidi. Long time. He swallowed. Amara, I can explain. Oh, I'm sure you can, she said, leaning forward. But before you do, let me tell you what I have been doing for the past 11 months. I have been crying. I have been fasting. I have been sleeping in your shirts. I spent 1 million naira on a funeral for an empty coffin. I told the world you were dead. I became a widow at 34. And all this time, you were here, in prison, eating prison rice? Chidi looked down at his hands. They were shaking. Amara, I never meant to hurt you. That sentence, that absurd, cowardly, laughable sentence, it broke something final in Amara. She let out a sound, half sob, half hysterical laugh that echoed off the prison walls. You never meant to hurt me? Chidi, you faked your own death. You gave someone your phone to call me and tell me you died. You didn't even have the guts to do it yourself. You made me mourn you for a year. A whole year. I almost drank poison, Chidi. Do you know that? 3 months after you died, I almost killed myself. And you were here, learning how to be a better criminal. A tear slid down Chidi's cheek. For the first time in his life, he looked genuinely ashamed. Or maybe he was just scared. It was hard to tell. I was never happy. He whispered, the confession. Amara stopped laughing. She stared at him. What? Chidi looked up. His eyes were red. I said, I was never happy. Not for one day. Not from the moment we said I do until the moment I left. Amara felt the air leave her lungs. Then why did you marry me? Because I had nothing, he said, his voice cracking. You know this. You knew it when you said yes. I had no job. No money. No future. And you had a shop. You had a car. You had a flat. You were my way out. I was your way out. She repeated, tasting the words like poison. So you used me. I tried to love you, he said. And now the tears were real. I swear to God, Amara, I tried. But every time you paid for something, every time you gave me money, I felt small, less than a man. You didn't need me. You never needed me. And that killed me. So you punished me for being capable? Amara's voice was rising. You made my life hell because I could afford my own life. I wanted to leave, Chidi continued, ignoring her. I wanted a divorce, but I knew you would not agree. You are a good woman, a church woman. You would have said, we must work it out. So I decided to disappear. The accident story was perfect. No body, no questions. And the prison? She asked, how does that fit into your perfect plan? Chidi wiped his face with the back of his hand. The oil and gas thing was real. At least, the opportunity was real. I met a man in Lagos who said he had a connection. I invested the 500,000 you gave me. But it was a setup. The man was a fraudster. We were all arrested. I didn't even know it was a scam until the police came. So you are stupid and wicked, Amara said. Good to know. I am not wicked. Chidi's voice rose, and a guard banged on the grill. He lowered his voice. I am not wicked, Amara. I'm just weak. I could not face you. I could not tell you that I hated waking up next to you. I hated the way you looked at me with pity. I hated that you paid for everything. I hated that you were the man I could never be. Amara leaned back. She looked at this broken, pathetic man behind the bars. She remembered the nights she cried herself to sleep. She remembered the loneliness, the rejection, the quiet cruelty. And she felt something shift inside her. It was not forgiveness. It was not anger. It was closure. You went far, Chidi, she said quietly. He blinked. What? You went far, she repeated. You didn't just leave me. You didn't just cheat on me. You didn't just take my money. You made me believe you were dead. You made me bury a ghost. You made me wear black for a year. You went very, very far. Chidi opened his mouth to speak, but Amara stood up. I am not angry, Chidi, she said, gathering her bag. I am not even sad anymore. I am grateful. Grateful? Yes, she said, and for the first time, she smiled. A real smile. You gave me the one thing I could never give myself. Permission to stop loving you. You faked your death, and in doing so, you killed the part of me that was stupid enough to believe you could change. So thank you. She turned to leave. Amara, wait. Chidi grabbed the grill. What about me? I am in here for 2 more years. I have no one. My mother doesn't pick my calls. My friends are gone. You are all I have. Amara paused. She looked over her shoulder. Chidi, she said, you died, remember? The man I married is dead. I mourned him. I buried him. Whoever is standing behind that grill is a stranger to me, and strangers don't owe each other anything. She walked out of the visiting room. Behind her, she heard Chidi calling her name, his voice cracking, fading into the prison din. She did not look back. The resurrection. Outside Kirikiri prison, the sun was blinding. Amara stood in the parking lot, breathing in the Lagos air, diesel fumes, frying plantains, and the faint smell of the lagoon. She took off the black ribbon from her wrist and let it fall to the ground. She got into her car and drove back to Ibadan. The next day, she reopened her boutique with new energy. She hired a new apprentice, a sharp young woman who actually wanted to learn. She paid off the debts Chidi had secretly accumulated in her name. She started going to the gym. She started laughing again, loud, unapologetic laughter that startled her neighbors. A year later, Amara had tripled her business. She bought a new car. She traveled to Dubai with Eber. She even started dating a quiet, boring accountant named Femi who asked for nothing and gave her peace. She never visited Chidi again. She heard through the grapevine that he had been released, that he had gone to Onitsha to live with a distant cousin, that he had started a new scam. She did not care, because Amara had learned the hardest lesson of all. Sometimes the people we love are not people at all. They are lessons wrapped in skin, and the only way to pass the exam is to walk away. She kept one memento though, a photograph from that day in prison. Not of Chidi, of herself, standing outside the gates, with the sun on her face and the shadow of the prison behind her. She captioned it, "He went far, but I went farther, and she never wore black again." So what is the moral of this story? Don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. And if a man ever fakes his own death to escape you, let him stay dead, because the only ghost you need in your life is the Holy Spirit. Subscribe for more Nigerian true life stories. Click the bell. And remember, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time, not after you've bought them a car, a phone, and a funeral.